Hi, I'm Johnny Magic here at H-Line Conversions, the world headquarters for diesel conversions. They actually invented this back in 2000 or 99 when actually the Duramax diesel first came out. And the original concept behind that, why the Duramax got an H-1 Hummer is because gentleman Johnathan Goodwin decided to buy a H-1 Hummer and go drive it through a pond and see how fast he can go and possibly even hydroplane this pond, and of course broke the motor, and the motor was tired anyways, and so he decided to do the Duramax diesel. And obviously it's been a huge success not only in H1 and H2 but in other applications as well. I mean, he's put them in everything but a Western Flyer wagon. But today we're going to be showing you how to reinstall the body once you've installed the Duramax diesel conversion, or the diesel engine. And in this example, we have the LMM motor that we're talking about. And one of the first things that we had to do to be able to put the LMM Duramax diesel motor into the H1 Hummer is put an adapter plate between the original mounts. So that's all been accomplished. It's done. That comes in the kit. Also, there's a transmission cross member that we replace as well. It's pretty much a drop-in, just a simple little thing. It's not complicated at all. But some of the more important things to talk about are the things that need some slight tweaking, and that's only because every Hummer out there is different. I call it the 1-inch error in design. There's at least a 1-inch error in everything. So one might fit perfectly, the next one might not. So some of the things that you have to do as far as clearance issues, to start with would be removing the original fuel lines, fuel filter, fuel pump assembly from the 6.5. You don't need that anymore. It's not going to be a part of the conversion. Just get rid of it. It's now dead weight, or take it down to your local landfill and recycle it or whatever, along with the motor. The second thing is on the LMM motors, we actually do a modification to the firewall where we actually cut it back just a little bit for clearance issues. And the reason for that is we want to run this 4.5-inch opening to the intake. This is a huge benefit to fuel economy and efficiency, and I've seen a lot of conversions out there where people are like putting on the smaller ones like the LOYs. That's just killing the motor, killing your fuel economy and your performance and power. So, if you do the LMM, leave it on there. If you do the LBZ or the LOY or LB7 or LML, whatever it is, you can just leave what's there, because it was already designed by General Motors. They spent millions of dollars making this stuff work. I'm sure you could buy something aftermarket that would be cooler or looking better, but I'm not sure how it's going to work. But I can tell you that this works well, and this will give you the best fuel economy and the best horsepower that you can have out of this application. Another thing that we do is, in this example, we're actually running a 3-inch block, and people are like, oh, you're going to raise my body 3 inches? Well, actually it'd only be 2.5 inches. And the reason for that is because 90% of the customers out there that have an H1 Hummer, they're cool, but they hate their life driving them. They're always breaking down, and of course people like them to look cooler, so they want to go with bigger wheels and tires. The first thing that happens if you put bigger wheels and tires on an H1 Hummer, you get these marks if you're a thrill seeker. If you do any kind of form of off-roading, the tires impacting the body, and life sucks and you're bending and breaking stuff. So with a little bit higher body lift on it, you can get the bigger tire on there and have all the kind of fun that you want. Plus it actually increases your approach and descent angle, side slope angle, all that kind of stuff. And when you put the bigger tire on there, you can't even notice that the body is any higher off of the frame. So another thing that you have to do is after you've installed the engine and transmission, transfer case, I do it all in one, or here at H-Line they do it all in one. I'm just talking about it. So you reinstall the fuel tank before you set the body back down. And sometimes this is like an art form. The fuel tank does not want to go back in. It's a little tough to get into. Sometimes you actually have to take and just drop the cross member back down, stick the fuel tank in there. The fuel tank will only come out from the top. It will never come out from the bottom. You know, so if you do have an issue with your Hummer, it's got 1,000,000 years, 1,000,000 miles, you might want to take the fuel sender out and replace that, or fuel sock, and make sure all that stuff's good, because in order to get that again, you're going to have to take the body off to get it out. So that's just the nature of the H-1 Hummer. There's nothing fun about working on them. Everything's just big, nasty, and simple. But you know, it is the world's most awesome off-road vehicle, and on-road now with the Duramax in there. There's nothing better than 500 horsepower and 800 foot-pounds of torque at 22 miles to a gallon. It put a smile on your face and white-knuckled at the same time. So, you know, it's a great package, you know, for any application, but especially the H-1 Hummer needs it the most. Now that we've talked about most of the, you know, the actual installation of the engine and stuff, which is pretty simple, and of course there is step-by-step instructions that come with this. This is just kind of an overview. We're going to talk about some of the other modifications. One is the skid plate. Some people will take them off, which, you know, you have to take the whole interior out and all kinds of craziness. We just essentially just put a notch in there, and that's only so it clearances the right-hand front engine mount as the body goes back on. Makes the life a lot easier. If you don't want to cut on it, that's fine. Just get in there and spend 6 hours taking that skid plate off, and you can do it that way as well. It won't harm the actual conversion process. So in conclusion, actually, the installation of the Duramax engine is a lot easier than taking the old one out. If you watched the first phase one or whatever and looked at the instructional videos to that, it was pretty complicated, you know, but there's a lot of books out there and a lot of information associated with taking the vehicle apart to begin with. The reinstallation, this is the simple part of it. At this point in time, we're going to go ahead and just drop the body down. Now our motor's in there, we got our lift on there, got our new engine mounts on there, fuel tanks in place, we've made the modifications we spoke about. We're going to drop this dude on the ground. Okay, now we're the moment that everybody's been waiting for, reinstalling the body. This is so simple. If you're a smart person, and I should have mentioned this because this will make you a smart person, you definitely want to mark the tires when you first pull the body off, like in phase one. And I might not have mentioned that, so I hope that you didn't roll it around too much. But if you mark the tires, you'll know exactly where the body goes back down the frame. And I always use spotters. I mean, the more spotters, the better. You know, turn this into a beer fest, whatever. Get all your buddies over here. Drop the body down, but be safe about it, because you can, you know, if everything's off, I mean, you're going to be like breaking stuff, and you don't want to break anything on the Duramax, believe me, that's big money. So here we go. We got our spotters in place, and now we're just going to push the button, and I'm going to listen to them. If they see something they don't like, they can tell me. Obviously, we've already rehearsed this. We've got our body set exactly where we want. It's just as simple, you know. Once you get the body down, you put the 6 body bolts on there, and you know, and at that point in time, you just kind of like reassemble the vehicle like you took it apart. 6 body bolts. You plug back in your fuel tank at the top side as far as electrical, your tag light, your rear trailer plug. So there you go, folks. Now the body is back on there. You just put in your body bolts and stuff like that, and we'll talk about the fine-tuned parts, you know, like the cooling, the exhaust, the electrical, whatever, in the next phases. So this concludes our Phase 2 reassembly of the Duramax as far as putting the body on. I want to thank you. This is Johnny Magic at H-1 Conversions. Have a good day.